The rain lashed down, blurring the lights of the car park. A young woman, weighed down with shopping bags, struggled towards her car. Suddenly, a handsome man with his arm in a sling approached her. He asked for help, his voice soft and apologetic. Could she spare a moment to help him with his sailboat? He seemed so helpless, so charming. She hesitated for just a second too long. That moment of hesitation, of misplaced trust, was all it took. The man was Ted Bundy, and the friendly stranger was a mask carefully constructed to disarm and entice. His charm, his seeming vulnerability were all part of a terrifyingly effective arsenal. He preyed on kindness, exploiting the very qualities that make us human. Bundy understood the power of appearances. He knew that people were more likely to trust someone who looked like them, someone who seemed familiar and safe. Clean-cut and handsome, he was the antithesis of the monstrous image many associated with violent crime. He was a chameleon, blending into any environment, always the charming stranger, never the monster lurking beneath. In his wake. Bundy's crimes were not simply acts of violence. They were calculated and methodical acts of cruelty. He often subjected his victims to horrific ordeals, prolonging their suffering for his own gratification. He enjoyed the power he had over them, the fear in their eyes. He often revisited his victims' bodies, sometimes even keeping souvenirs of his crimes as gruesome trophies. One of his most notorious cases involved a young woman named Linda Ann Healy. Bundy, posing as an injured man, lured Healy out of her apartment in the early hours of the morning. He then knocked her unconscious and abducted her, taking her to a remote location where he tortured and murdered her. Her remains were not found for years. As the body count rose, so did the fear. Women were terrified to be alone, to trust strangers, even in broad daylight. Bundy had shattered the illusion of safety, proving that monsters didn't always lurk in the shadows. They could be hiding in plain sight, wearing a mask of normalcy, waiting for the right moment to strike. Section 4. The mask slips. Despite his meticulous planning, cracks began to appear in Bundy's facade. Witnesses provided descriptions, and his name began to surface in connection with various disappearances. A police sketch was released, and the net began to close in. Still, he remained elusive, changing his appearance, moving from state to state, always staying one step ahead of the law. His arrogance ultimately proved to be his undoing. He was arrested in Florida for driving a stolen vehicle, and his true identity was eventually discovered. During his trial, he represented himself, relishing the attention and notoriety. He seemed to enjoy the spotlight, the fear he instilled. Bundy's case sent shockwaves through the nation. The realization that a seemingly ordinary man could be capable of such monstrous acts was deeply unsettling. His case highlighted the limitations of traditional profiling methods, which often relied on outdated stereotypes of what a serial killer should look like. Section 5. A legacy of fear. Ted Bundy's reign of terror finally ended with his execution in 1989, but the legacy of his crimes continued to haunt the nation. His case forced law enforcement agencies to rethink their approach to criminal profiling, recognizing that evil could wear many faces. It also sparked a national conversation about violence against women and the importance of personal safety. Bundy's story serves as a chilling reminder that appearances can be deceiving. It underscores the importance of vigilance, of trusting our instincts, and of refusing to be lulled into a false sense of security. The charming stranger, the friendly face in the crowd, could be hiding a dark secret. And sometimes, the greatest danger lies not in the shadows, but in plain sight.